We're rolling with Chris Lesso.
All right.
On this fine day, April 14th. No, what is it? 19th.
April 19th, 2014.
We are 2 years after we took the photo. What you been up to, Chris?
Man, has it been 2 years already?
It's been 2 years. Let's get you right in the shadows. There you go. Beautiful.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I'm traveling and playing. I just got back from Cuba, as I know you were just in Cuba.
Yes.
And seeing the amazing musicianship there and learning and studying, and I'm an eternal student of the instrument, so I'm always studying and learning and being inspired. Inspiration is everywhere. And
what kind of stuff you learning these days? Studying.
Well, I'm studying the tabla, and I've been doing that for about the last 4 years, and that's just opened my eyes a lot in terms of it's like another language of rhythm, and it just opens up your eyes so much in terms of phrasing and
don't be afraid to speak up.
Subdivisions, and it's just a different tradition, a different part of the world.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah, and studying in town with some great teachers, right?
Ritesh Das. Yeah. And
are we lucky or what to have guys like
to be in Toronto with this much talent and this many multicultural diversity and
that's what I mean.
It's amazing. Just to go out and see music and to see shows. And to stay inspired, it's amazing. There's
people who go out every night. Like Aaron Knight is out every night checking out bands, and it's possible to do that in this town.
Absolutely.
Would you agree? It's only going to get easier. I think as our music business recovers and we get more people start moving downtown, living downtown. How do you see the state of the business right now in music?
It's like I was just talking to you before we started this interview. This photo is going to be looked at, I think, 100 years from now and even beyond.
I hope so.
As it's only going to grow. Everybody here is teaching. Drummers have such a need to pass on the knowledge to other people, and it's only going to just keep growing.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of people living their lives to the fullest in that photo, and the thing that I was really struck by that I didn't notice until after we took it was everyone is a mature adult, in that photo. Everyone is almost in their mid-30s and up. I think Mike Sleeth is the youngest, and maybe Larnell. But Larnell, if he was the second youngest, he's one of the most accomplished, in that photo. It's pretty amazing that everyone is really into the thick of it with their careers.
Well, it shows you how long it takes to achieve mastery on this instrument. So, you got to start with your 10,000 hours and then go for your 20,000 hours. And that was something that struck me also looking at the photo. Is I think we only understand that because we're on this path together in terms of the challenges we face, and it's really an inner journey. It's really a self-development journey. That's what drumming to me is all about. Self-development journey. Absolutely. Drumming is the lens that we all have chosen. Some people choose martial arts. Some people choose golf. Some people choose different sports or whatever it is, or some people choose painting. And for us, it's been this incredible instrument, the drum set, and I think that's it's a long journey. And it really never ends. And I'm gonna be 95 years young and still studying and still learning and still uncovering something new every day on my instrument. That's the beautiful thing. Every day when you pick up the sticks and you play, you get a new impression of the instrument, new impression of yourself, a new step forward of the journey. And that's why everybody, I think, drummers have such a tribe where we, I haven't seen 100 guitar players sit on a step or 100 bass players sit on a step. It's so funny, eh? We have a compadre. We have it's this huge sense of community, which is a big sense of what drumming is. And it's really a lifelong journey. And so you draw inspiration from the older cats, like for example the guys who were on this stoop. Absolutely. Terry Clark, Al Cross. Al didn't make it, but man. Oh, that's right, he wasn't there. I mean, Paul DeLong, who he didn't make it. I know he was. Mark Kelso, who I was actually sitting beside. Shamaka, Aubrey Dale. Well, these are not some of the elders, but but
they will be.
They will.
They're old. Come on. These guys are in their 50s,
and when you see the, one amazing thing about drumming is when you see the guys like Jim Chapin and Jim Blackley and the Ed Shaughnessy, the Joe Morello, the guys that are the elders of our craft, and many of whom have passed away. The really childlikeness of this instrument really comes out. The inner child. Not being childish, but being childlike. And you really saw that that day on the step with all ages. But it really never goes away, which is amazing. What you mentioned, the elders. I've always noticed that as I've come in contact with the elders of this instrument. As you are in close quarters with them, you realize they really have a strong sense of eternal youth, I guess.
Yeah, it's like they become.
Drumming is the eternal youth.
They become more wise the older they get, and it's like the youthfulness or the joy in their hearts comes out the older they get, or something like that.
Absolutely, that's another part of what makes this instrument great, and another thing we all have in common.
Yeah. And would you agree? I mean, is it fair to say that these older gentlemen that we look up to, when we measure the difference in age between, like, I think you and I are around the same age, kind of late 30s. Some of these guys are in their early 60s, and oh my God, that's 20 years. That's 20 years more of playing that they've got. And isn't that incredible that they're it's like they're still peaking or something? Do you see it that way?
Absolutely, and I think the more you play this instrument and the more you learn. Like we were just saying, we were just in Cuba checking out the drummers there, and the musicianship there, and the more you learn, the more you realize what you don't know.
Right.
And that, I think that process is not going to stop, where it's just vast and you see the depth. I mean, when I was fortunate enough to study with Jim Blackley, he has this very famous exercise where he makes you play the ride cymbal at 40 BPM. 40 BPM. That's like, you hit a stroke.
Hang on.
Look at this beautiful day out in Toronto.
Amazing day.
Incredible view.
We're starting to deal with some traffic noise, folks. Sorry. You were studying with Jim Blackley. He's making 40 beats a minute.
You've got the ride cymbal rhythm, dang, 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 which everybody knows. It's in the air. It's in our culture. It's even 10-year-olds somehow know this.
Yeah.
Even if they've never really heard jazz too much. And Jim Blackley will make you do this at 40 BPM. So you hit a stroke, ding. You go and pay your parking meter. You come back. Ding, you go get a sandwich and go check your email. It's amazing. So the space between each note, and that all of a sudden, I was in my early 20s when I got to see him, and I saw the depth of the instrument. It would almost be like Picasso when you see the one brush, what he can do with just one brush stroke.
Yeah.
It's just amazing, the depth of this instrument. Then you start to hear the tones and the colors and even the difference between a hickory drumstick and a maple drumstick.
Yeah.
And worlds open up. And I don't think that process ever I know it never stops.
It just continues and continues.
And it gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And,
let's go, if you don't mind, let's just go back over here. We're starting to get a lot of street noise. Sorry, folks. Okay, so Chris, if you don't know, guys, is a very prominent teacher in Toronto. Has been plugging away at the teaching craft for years and years now. And hopefully, in the future, if this video lasts in decades to come, he's still going to be doing it and doing it really well. Absolutely. And this comprises a pretty major part, of what you're doing in your livelihood, right? Teaching away.
Absolutely. I'm doing, I have, Chris Lesso Studios, my studio that I'm doing, and, everything from Skype lessons around the world to having, my students come, which also teach me a lot, and we have so much fun, and then, master classes and having other artists involved, and I have my drum events called Life Through Rhythm.
Tell me about those events.
Well, it kind of ties in what we were talking about, kind of the life journey of inner improvement and the philosophy of Kaizen, which means constant and never-ending improvement. And
constant and never-ending improvement.
Constant and never-ending improvement. Okay. I'm really doing it through the lens of drumming. There's so many parallels between the journey of drumming and the journey of life.
Yeah.
Like focus, energy, overcoming challenges, community and team building, handling stress, being in the present moment, having fun. It's amazing. So I love doing, I do these events not only for drummers, but pretty much for, anybody of all ages and all walks of life. It's awesome. And I'm doing my band called Modus Factor.
Yeah.
And Modus Factor is my band. It's featuring Brown Man on trumpet,
yeah,
and Ian D'Souza on bass.
And this is what kind of music?
There's a lot of improvising involved. There's a lot of heavy, grooves and rhythms involved that are drawing from, global, inspiration.
Yeah.
So I guess you could say world music,
yeah,
electronica a little bit. Just heavy grooves and a lot of improvisation and a lot of energy. It's a lot of energy in this band.
Right.
And so Modus Factor, it's just such a cool.
You guys are like fusiony, right?
You can say that, yeah. Fusiony, absolutely. In the definition of the word fusion, combining a lot of different influences,
and a lot of improv.
Yeah, absolutely, and also where you're going to tap your foot to it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of great energy in being in the present moment. And
sorry, go ahead.
I have this great philosophy where I try to feel like I'm the worst in the band. I'm the worst in the band, and that means that I'm playing with people that inspire me and that are really going to challenge me and bring out something out of me that maybe I didn't even know was there.
Why are those values for you, particularly? Why does that matter to you, to be inspired, to live in the moment? I mean, this is stuff that we need to keep teaching people who are new to the instrument and just to help them give direction. Why do you think it's important to be in the moment, to improvise, how does health come into it? What would you say?
Well, inspiration is, let's put it this way. We don't choose the drums choose us.
Yeah.
That's what my mentor Don Famulero said. You don't choose the drums choose you. So when you have that spark and that passion in you, you can't ignore it. You got to follow it. And life is so short. I actually do a drum circle that I do with seniors every now and then when I can do it. And when you hang around, drummers and people are drumming in their 90s, and I've had one that was past 100. You realize how short life is, and how incredible the little things are, and the chance that we have to do this. And one actually impression that I got, excuse me, one impression I got from the photo that we accomplished, is it crossed my mind the concept of freedom, that we are blessed to do this.
Yes.
In another country, we might not have the opportunity. We're basically hitting things with wood.
Yeah.
That's basically what we're doing. We're allowed to, self-expression is such a huge part of it, and sense of community is such a big part of it, and being inspired, and of course, finding, inspiration from the people that have come before us, and standing on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah.
As it were, all the great masters that have come before us, and just music itself, just sitting listening to Mozart or music is vast, and that comes out in our playing. So the concept of freedom, that if you look at this photo and you think that we are, blessed to live here. We've done some wide shots of where we are. We're at Old City Hall in downtown Toronto, one of the greatest cities in the world.
Yeah.
And we're actually allowed to do this and to interact and talk to each other and be free to do this.
Isn't that amazing?
The concept of freedom was, just loud and strong.
It's also a reality, right? Like freedom is it's not just a concept. Is it fair to say that it's actually, we're free in our lives to do what we want?
Absolutely.
But that doesn't really make it that much easier, to accomplish our goals, and there's a lot of hard work to do.
No, and absolutely, and that's the long, never-ending journey. Once you go to one mountaintop, you see another mountaintop in the distance. And that's the life journey that we're on, and we've chosen, or rather, maybe it's chosen us, but we've all chosen this as our life path and our way. It's really a lens to develop yourself. It's your own journey. It's the finger pointed inward. You know, it's
Yeah.
we're all overcoming our own challenges and you know, going within ourselves.
And isn't it fair to say that, just since we have this photo, this portrait in common, that the respect that was felt on that day is really a product of what you're talking about, that, how difficult it is to live the life as a, not just a musician, but a drummer in a city where there's a lot of other drummers. But we're lucky when in having this community, this love of and respect for what we do. Would you agree that when you look at the older musicians, the older drummers, there's so much to respect there?
Yes.
It's incredible.
Oh yes, absolutely. When you choose, there's so many people in life that have this voice in them, and it's almost like when if you remember being in grade school and they told you, well, if everybody else jumped off a cliff, would you
Yeah.
jump off a cliff?
Right.
And they teach you that, and later in life that gets reversed almost, where everybody else, let's say in their mid-20s or 30s or something, they're finding jobs and they're in lives they don't like and that are passionless, and they're not listening to their inner voice and doing what they love, and that becomes the herd, and now they're jumping off the proverbial cliff into lives that are mediocre and that they just don't like.
Yeah.
And they look at you and say, why don't you jump off the cliff? Everybody else is.
Yeah.
Why aren't you jumping off the cliff? And it becomes reversed around.
Yeah.
And anybody that really goes away from the herd and that is an anti-conformist and that follows their heart and that goes into something that is, that says, I'm going to hit things for a living. I'm going to do something unorthodox, and I'm going to do something that I'm going to go off on my path and do something that is uncertain. That's why I think that only we kind of, fellow drummers know what that journey is like. And I guess you could, include many other people in that, in the arts.
Yeah.
Where it's really just such a up and down journey, and there's so many challenges, but life is so short, and one of the one of the regrets of people that are on their deathbeds are not taking huge risks.
Yeah.
And not taking no one really is on their deathbed regretting taking risks and following their heart.
Right.
No one's regretted that.
Yeah.
And we all have that gift that we're doing that.
Yeah.
All of us have found it in our own ways, and we came together, and that's why this photo's so special.
Yeah.
We're all together, and we all. We could have even had an unspoken rule.
Yeah.
I think if there was some kind of rule that day of, okay, nobody can talk, and we could all just look at each other, I think we would have, still had that same sense of understanding. We just look at each other and nod.
Yeah.
I know.
It's
I know
funny,
you know.
in the 2 minutes that remain, basically what we're dealing with is, our tribe of drummers in this community of Toronto is really made up of a bunch of people who just love what they do as a profession, and they fight for it and defend it.
Yes.
And there's not a lot of people who can really relate to that. And would you agree that it's not our job, or we don't really need to defend what we do to the rest of society? It's just that we are who we are, and sometimes it's kind of tough to explain why we have to live a certain way we do.
It is challenging to explain to people. And again, I think it's when so many people just do don't follow their heart and do what they're passionate and do what they love every day. I mean, so many people don't have jobs that they love to go to, and then they see us and what we're doing and the path that we're on, and sometimes it can be hard to understand why we do this and why we all have stories of the crazy practice situation. Like, I need to practice, and I love practicing, and I have had the most crazy places to practice. There's an old garage that I practiced in once, and the fuse kept going, so there was no heat So I used to, light candles and stuff, and just be cold and practicing with 4 layers of sweaters on and things like that. These are the stories. We all have our own individual stories of that, and people think we're crazy if we're going through this. And I think we kind of are. Drummers are a little bit crazy, but in such a good way. And again, we're all on this journey together, and we're so blessed to be able to do it.
Chris Lesso, I want to thank you very much for a great interview. Wonderful to have you in the photo where you belong to be there. If I can be so bold as to say who belongs. If you have a problem with that, then make your own damn photo.
And when I see the photo, I say, man, look, like, how did I end up there with all these incredible people? I mean, that's the thing. These guys are all great players and artists, but great people. I mean, I just, that's one thing with being there with the photo. There were no well, there was one huge pair of drumsticks. But there were nobody was playing drums. Everybody was just hanging out and talking and sharing ideas. And that is a special thing of our craft, that drummers are just, so many people in the tribe, in the industry, are just incredible human beings, and just move me so much and inspire me. So I felt so blessed to be there with these great.
It was awesome to have you there, man.
Awesome.
Right on.
Do it again.
We'll see you in 20 years.
Absolutely. Right on.
Here we go with the toll of the bell. Right on.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Well done, buddy.
Excellent. Thanks,
Fantastic.
for having me do it, man.
My pleasure, man. Yeah. Beautiful.
Who have you got so far? Like you.